guys, welcome to my channel. It's noisy today. The air conditioner is running. It is hot as ever. You can't see it, but right now I'm also cooking a pot of curry. I'm burning right now. I didn't bother with any makeups. Honestly, it's gonna melt off. I didn't do my hair. I ain't gonna wear no wig. Please excuse my strangeness. Would you like a cookie? I made cookies. I know I can't offer you an actual cookie, but I'm gonna enjoy it for you. Okay, so my pets are moseying on over. When they get hungry, they're pretty cranky. So I guess what I wanted to talk about today, the struggles of being a Christian artist and sort of how to path a career, or I can't really say career because I don't really know. Art is not my full-time job as of this very, as of this very second. I'm not gonna make it sound like it's easy. Would you stop? I'm so sorry. There's a cat on one side, there's a rabbit by my feet. I'm distracted. The ADHD is going madness right now because of all the things. Christian art struggle. I think the biggest thing that I personally have struggled with, how do you make art that reflects the inner world in which you're feeling? I don't like to think of my art as just simply to tell a message. Like, I know some people make comics and they're really good and that's what they're feeling like God is directing them towards and calling towards, and they're having decent amount of success with it. Or in other cases, like, you know, they're doing skits or making music, and I think it can be a little easier to figure yourself out when that's your method. But myself, I like to think of myself as more of an illustrator, and it's kind of like, how do I express that through the kind of work that I do? Because I don't always want to make a comic or always make something that directly is like rah rah. You can definitely see that that is what it is. And sometimes I think I struggle with that specifically because sometimes the way that Christianity is processed is usually very utilitarian. Like, if you're making a song, there's like a direct message, or if you're making a comic, there's a direct message. If you're making the kind of video that I'm making now, there's like a very clear and direct message. And it's just like, okay, what am I doing? How do I not get lost in the sauce if I don't necessarily want to make comics or something like that? And I've come to find that you can still do that without necessarily having every single image be a very, very like, this is what it is sort of message. And now I'm not saying that there's anything wrong if that's the kind of stuff that you like to do. It's go for it. But if you're kind of just like, you like to draw beautiful things, then how do you share that, right? I like to think about it because Christ made beautiful things. Like, well, my pets are gone now, but my cat, my rabbit, the trees, flowers, nature, God made those things specifically. And sometimes giving people that breathtaking, that awe-inspiring image can also bring people closer to Christ. Everything that you do is still for the glory and honor of God. When you have that frame of mindset, it's easier to create things, because then what you're doing has the frame and lens of Christ around it. Then you don't necessarily have to worry about trying to, can everybody see how good you are? Nobody needs to see how amazing or good you are through the words that you say, or by like, if that's your thing, like I said, nothing against it. But if that's not your thing, you're sort of wondering how you're gonna make it work, just be who you are, how you carry yourself, what you do with your work, the mindset that you have when you create your work, because your art comes from who you are and the essence of what it is you're sharing, or how you're feeling, and that comes out in your work, and people can see it and they can feel it. And that's kind of what art is. It's not about always speaking and making a very clear, like, using words to describe what it is that you're doing. Sometimes it is, but it's not always, especially when it comes to visual art. Sometimes it's just the feeling, sometimes it's just the mood, sometimes it's the focus. There's so much you can do with drawing or painting or whatever medium you might be using to really get in there where words don't necessarily fit, so you don't really have to compete with those things. On the other hand, there's also how do you navigate the space, because certain movements are very popular, and in the art sphere it can be easy to get lost. No, that's not the right word. I'm thinking like the overall arcing Instagram-y community doesn't necessarily fit in with this particular lifestyle, and that's not because it can't, it's just because that a lot of people don't. I guess I don't really know how to describe it, but sometimes when you're looking at things and they've got like very interesting pictures of very interesting things, or like creatures and things with many eyes, and you're sitting there wondering to yourself like, okay, this is what's popular, do I compromise to fit in with what's popular? And the answer, obviously, that's very simple to come by is no. But then what does that look like? Right? So like I said before, your art is a reflection of the things that you value without screaming them out in words. It is all encompassing of your spirit, your mindset, your lifestyle. That's what you display in your work. And if Christ is at the forefront of what you do and where your mind is, all those other distraction-y things about what all those people who are popular are doing and this next set of people who are popular are doing, none of that really matters, because your art is yours. And if God is your inspiration, then God is your inspiration, and He's going to give you the right drawings, the right things. And sure, it might take a little more time to become popular, but being popular is only so important, right? Of course, some of us want to take this into the next level, but for the 10, the 20, 100, 1,000, that's still people who care about what you do, and they're important too. And if anybody at all supports, that shouldn't be taken lightly. That's one more person that you reach. That's one more person that you encourage. That's one more person that you can be friends with. That's one more soul to love. Just one person. That's enough. And at the end of the day, Christ is enough. God is enough to cover all the rest of that. So trust that He's going to work out the rest of the stuff for you. My favorite Bible verse is Hebrews 11:13. It's talking about people like Abraham and Isaac who never actually made it to the promised land. That's like the whole chapter, so to speak. And it basically says, without receiving the promises, they accepted that the promises would be theirs afar off, even though they never actually got to see it. I'd like to think about that for basically everything that I do. But in this particular sense, where we're talking about artwork, it is that much more important to me, because there are days when I ask myself why I'm even doing this, and if it's even going anywhere, and if it even matters. And the truth is, I actually don't know how many people I'm going to reach. There are people who are just like, hanging out. They might be followers or they might not be followers, and they see your stuff and they're just lurking, and you don't know who it reached. You don't know where it's all going. You don't necessarily get to see the fruits of your labor. And that doesn't mean that you should stop just because you don't know if anybody likes it. You don't know how God is using it and transforming the things that you're doing. You don't know. But stay encouraged anyways. And I just want to tell you to keep going, regardless of whether or not you're seeing exponential followers, basically, over the things that you're doing are important. There are people who want to hear what you have to say. Your message means so much to people. It means a lot to me. And I just want to encourage you that God can use little things and make them into big things without us even knowing about them. So stay faithful, trust in Him. You got this. I love you guys.